I'm Anil Kumar. Welcome to my series on quadratic applications. We have four application questions here. We'll solve them one by one. These are taken from previous test papers, and I hope their solution will help many others. I'd like you to pause the video, read the questions, answer them, and then look into my suggestions. Question number one here is: a tunnel is parabolic in shape with its highest point 18 meters above the 16-meter wide road. Bats have made it their home. Some bats are hanging 12 meters above the ground. Find the minimum distance of these bats from the center of the tunnel. Question number two. AB is the diameter of a circle with point C on the circumference such that its distance from A is 7 less than its distance from B. Find the perimeter of the triangle ABC if the diameter of the circle is 17 meters. Question number 3. Sum of areas of two squares is 400 meters square and difference of their perimeter is 16 meters. Find the ratio of the sides of the two squares. Question number 4 is: find the value of k if the quadratic equation kx within brackets 3x minus 4 plus 4 equals to 0 has two roots at the same point. So these are the four questions for you. You can always pause the video, answer them, and then look into my suggestions. Let's take these solutions one by one. Question number one is about a tunnel. A tunnel is parabolic in shape with its highest point 18 meters above the ground. So let's make a sketch for the tunnel. Let's say the tunnel is kind of like this, parabolic in shape, and that's the road. Highest point is 18 meters above the ground, and this road is 16 meters wide. So let us use the axis right at the center. So that will help us to provide a simple equation. So on this axis, what we notice that the highest point will be the vertex, which is at 18 meters. Now this width is 16 meters. That really means what? It means these 2 points should be at minus 8 and plus 8. That should help you to provide the equation of the parabola, right? Now, since the vertex is on the y-axis, we can write y is equals to minus, because it is coming down, a times x squared, and the highest point when x is 0 is 18. So that should help us to find the equation of parabola, right? So that becomes the basic equation, right? To find the value of a, what should we do? We can use one of these points. So the road is 16 meters wide. That means on each side it is going to be 8 meters, and the height will be 0. So we can write this y value as 0 and x value as 8. So we get minus a 8 square plus 18. Now we can solve this taking minus 18 to the other side. Minus a times 8 square is 64, and that gives you the value of a as 18 over 64. Negative negative cancel, which is 9 over 32, right? So we get the value of a as 9 over 32. So we can now write down the quadratic equation, which is y equals to minus 9 over 32 x squared plus 18. So that is your quadratic equation. Now what do we need? What we are given here is that bats have made their home. Some bats are hanging 18 meters above the ground. So where should I position them? That's kind of critical. So 18 meters above the ground, let's say somewhere along this line, right? So we can say this is the position of the bats which we are talking about. 12 meters above the ground, right? So this height here is 12 meters. We want to know how far they are from the center, right? The shortest distance is the distance, which is this distance, which we need to figure out. So that is what we need to find. We know at this point the height is 12. We want to find the x value, right? And this is, you can say, as x12. Substituting y value as 12, we can now find the value of distance of the bat from the center, correct? That is the key. So I hope this point is clear to you, right? Find the minimum distance that these bats have from the center of the tunnel. So that is the center of the tunnel. And this is your minimum distance. Is that clear to you? Correct? So let's substitute the value of y as 12 in our equation, which is minus 9 over 32 x squared plus 18. And now solve for 18. So we can now bring this 9 over 32 to the left side along with x squared, and 18 minus 12, which is 6, on the right side. So x squared will be equal to 6 times 32 over 9, which you can simplify. Dividing by 3, we get 2 and 3. Or you can write this as equal to 64 over 3. So the value of x will be equal to square root of 64 over 3 plus and minus values, right? So we get both the points, the two ends. So that gives you plus and minus 8 over square root 3. Now there is an important thing to understand, and that is we're actually interested in distance, right? So distance always is a positive value. So it's a good idea to take the absolute value. So that means always a positive value. Do you understand this? So the answer, distance, is definitely going to be 8 over square root 3. You can rationalize this and also write this as 8 square root 3 over 3 when you multiply and divide by square root 3, right? So at the last step, we kind of rationalized it. So that becomes the exact value of x. So the answer is x equals to 8 square root 3 over 3, and the units are in meters. Well, sometimes you may be required to write the answer in decimals. In that case, since it is not mentioned, so we'll also find that particular answer and write down this answer in decimals at 4.618. In three significant places, we can write this as 4.62 meters, and that will be in three significant figures. Correct? So that could be requirement at times. Or you could provide the exact value. It is always good to write exact value in rationalized form, which we have done at this stage. So I hope these steps are absolutely clear. Now let's look into the second question, which is AB is the diameter of a circle with point C on the circumference such that its distance from A is 7 less than its distance from B. Find the perimeter of the triangle ABC if the diameter of the circle is 17 meters. So let's try to sketch a circle and then we will see how to do it, right? So let me draw a circle first and then we'll figure it out. So let's say that is a circle which we are talking about, and we are saying that the diameter is 17. So diameter will be, let's say this is the diameter for us. Okay. Point C is on the circumference such that its distance from A is 7 less than distance from B. So let's say this point is A, this is B, and C is closer to A. So let's keep C here. Okay, let's connect. So we have point A connected to C and then to B. Okay. So that becomes the diagram which can help us solve this particular question. So here we are given that the diameter of the circle is 17 meters, so AB is 17. The two sides, one is 7 less than the other. So it's good to write x on one side and we can write x plus 7. So it becomes lesser, right? So we can use the positive numbers. It is always a good idea. Okay, so we get this, and definitely what you should know is in a semicircle, we always get a right triangle, and that's the key. Correct? So let me make a note here that in a semicircle, we have right triangle, right? So the triangle ABC we are talking about, let me write this, is right triangle. Is that clear to you, right? Since it is going, one side is the diameter of the circle. Now, since it is a right triangle, we also get a relation relating the two sides, right? So the two sides we know is that AC square plus AB square will be, CB square equals to AB square. So which is x square plus x plus 7 whole square is equal to 17 square, right? Okay. Now, if you have idea about Pythagorean triples, you can actually straight away write down the answer, right? If not, we'll have to solve this equation. So let's solve this equation. So we have x squared plus, expand this, x squared plus 14x, 14x plus 7 square, which is 49. So it is x squared plus 14x plus 7 square minus 17 square equals to 0. So that gives you 2x squared plus 14x, 7 square is 49, minus 17 square, which is 289. You can use calculator, equals to 0, right? Now we can take away and then write down this as 2x squared plus 14x minus 240 equals to 0. So we get this quadratic equation. Now we need to solve this quadratic equation to find the value of x. Now I'll suggest that sometimes we have 7 square minus 17 square. You could also do a calculation like this. Let me show you here. 7 square minus 17 square could be written as 7 minus 17 times 7 plus 17, right? So 7 minus 17 is minus 10 and 7 plus 17 is 24, and that gives you minus 240. Is that clear to you? So that is how also without calculator you can actually easily calculate some numbers using difference of squares. Now in this unit we have learned difference of squares, so that could be one of the strategies. Okay, now the equation. Let's go further. We can actually divide by 2, so we get x squared plus 7x minus 120 equals to 0. Now we need to do product and sum to factor this. So what two numbers can give you minus 120 as the product and 7 as the sum? Well, 15 and 8. So you could factor this and write this as x plus 15 times x minus 8 equals to 0, right? So how did we get that? So once again, let me just show you this simple calculation. So we want product of two numbers p and q as minus 120, right? And so you have to look for factors. So the two numbers will be 15 and 8. Since we want a positive number as the bigger number, 8 will be negative. That gives you the sum of the two numbers as 7, correct? So amongst many combinations, that is how you're going to get it. Perfect. So that means that we have now two solutions. One solution is x equals to minus 15 and the other one is x equals to 8. So x equals to 8, we are looking for a positive number, correct? So in this particular question, we know for sure that the value of x has to be greater than or equal to 0. It cannot be negative. Therefore, we'll take x equals to 8. So we get the sides, which is AC as equal to 8, and then CB will be equal to 8 plus 7, which is 15. And what do we need to find? We need to find the perimeter, right? So the question is to find the perimeter of the triangle, which is sum of all the three sides. One side is already known to us as 17, and therefore the perimeter P will be equal to 8 plus 15 plus 17, right? So that is how you're going to get the answer. So 8 plus 5 is 13, 13 plus 7 is 20, 0, 2, 3 and 1, 4. So we get 40, and the units are meters as the perimeter. So that becomes the solution of the given question. Correct? So I hope these steps are absolutely clear. Go through these steps once again. Perimeter is 40 meters. Now, if you know the triples, you could have guessed this answer. Is that clear to you? So it is good to know the Pythagorean triples. Okay, let's move on. Take the next question now, which is question number 3. Sum of areas of two squares is 400 meters square and difference of their perimeter is 16 meters. Find the ratio of the sides of the two squares. So let's say these are the squares we're talking about. So this is one square, the other square is bigger, and the sides are in the ratio of, let's say they're x and y. So in that case, we are given the first statement is sum of areas of two squares is 400 meters square. Now what does that mean? Area is x square, right? So sum of the areas will be x square plus y square, and this is equal to 400 meters square. Is it clear to you? That's what it means. Since area is for a square, you have to multiply the sides and you get square as the area. So x square plus y square is 400, and we are also given that difference of their perimeter is 16. So difference is, well, let's say 4y minus 4x is 16. So that is the difference. Well, you can divide by 4. So we get y minus x as equal to 4, 16 divided by 4. And so we can relate one variable in terms of the other. So we can write in this particular case, uh, let us say, let's take one of the variables to the other side. So what we get here is that y equals to 4 plus x. Substituting 4 plus x here, we get x squared plus 4 plus x whole square equals to 400. Now that's a quadratic equation. We can expand and simplify. So we get x squared plus 16 plus 8x plus x squared equals to 400. So let's solve this equation. So let us solve this equation on the right side. So we get 2x squared plus 8x plus 16 minus 400 equals to 0, right? Which can be written as 2x squared plus 8x, 400 minus 16, so you can take away from 10, from 9, 384 equals to 0. Now we need to factor this. So what two numbers? We can actually divide by 2. So we get x squared plus 4x minus 192 equals to 0. Now, whenever there are bigger numbers to factor, we had it in the previous case also. Let me share with you a technique of doing factoring in such cases. So we know 192, we can actually find factors of 192. So for example, you can divide this by 4. So 4 times 4 is 16, 32 is 8, and that gives you 8 is, we can divide by 3, for example. So 3 times 1, 12 and 18 is 16. So we can go on like this. At this stage, you understand that when you multiply 4, 3, and 16, you definitely get 192. The idea is to get two numbers whose difference is 4. That is what we want, right? One of them has to be negative. Smaller number is negative, right? So let's group it. So what you find here is that 12 is the smaller number, which is negative, and 16 is the other number. And so we can actually factor this. So I hope you understand this particular method of factoring. So one of the bigger number is positive. We got positive 16 times x minus 12 equals to 0. So that gives you two answers, and the valid answer will definitely be x equals to 12. And this is the valid solution. X equals to 16 minus will not be valid because we know in this particular case also that the value of x has to be greater than or equal to 0. So we are always looking for a positive answer. So this gives you a valid answer. X plus 16 will not give you the valid answer. Correct? So we get the value of x, and we can actually find the value of y also, since y is 4 plus x. So we can write y is equals to 12 plus 4, which is equal to 16. So we get the value of x and y. What do we need to figure out? Find the ratio of the two, find the ratio of sides of the two squares. So ratio of the sides is what we are interested in finding. So let's find the ratio of the sides now. So we can say that the ratio of the sides is let's say 16 over 12, right? We are saying y over x. So simplify this, dividing by 4, we get 4 over 3. So that is what we are saying. Ratio of these sides, y over x, is 4 over 3. So that is our answer. Is that clear to you, right? Let's take up the last question now, which is find the value of k if the quadratic equation kx times 3x minus 4 plus 4 equals to 0 has two roots at the same point. Now, what does that mean? Has two roots at the same point. What does this mean? That means we have exactly one real root. Correct? And that means what? That means the discriminant is equal to 0. Right? So if we have an equation which is ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0, in that case, we're looking for b square minus 4ac equals to 0, right? That is what we are looking for. So let's work on this equation and then find the answer. We have kx times 3x minus 4 plus 4 equals to 0. Open the bracket. So we get 3kx squared minus 4kx plus 4 equals to 0. Now in this case, the value of b is minus 4k, right? The value of a is 3k, and the value of c is 4. So when we substitute these values, what do we get as b squared minus 4ac? We'll equate this to 0, right? So discriminant, which is equal to b squared minus 4ac, that should be equal to 0 for one root. So b is minus 4k minus 4ac. 4 times a is 3k and c is 4, right? That should be equal to 0. So we have a quadratic equation which is 16k squared minus 12k. 4 times 4, 16 times. Let me multiply this by 4, right? So we get 48. So 4 times 4, 16 times 3 is 48k, right? So we can factor this. K and 16 can be taken common. So we get 16 minus 3k, 3, right? K has been taken out. So that is what we get. So from here we get two solutions. One is k equals to 0. The other one is k equals to 3. And of course, in this particular case, we know k has to be greater than 0. Since if k is 0, then we get a constant 4 equals to 0. So we realize that this is not possible, not correct. Since the equation is not true, if you put k as 0, you get 4 equals to 0, right? If I substitute k as 0, you get 4 equals to 0. Equation is not true. So k equals to 3 is a valid solution, correct? So we get answer as there's only one value of k, and which is k equals to 3. We'll have one root. Or we can say double root at a point. Is that clear to you? So that is how we are going to solve this particular question. So I hope you have understood the concepts behind the solution of all the four questions. It's kind of interesting to understand that these four questions have been taken from the four important chapters in quadratic relations. And with their review, I hope you understand and review all the concepts learned in this particular unit. Feel free to write your comment, share your views, and if you like and subscribe to my videos, that'd be great. Thanks for your time and all the best.